page 1. First, thank you for giving us this opportunity today. We're really appreciative of that. Thank you to my parents and faculty and staff who turned out today. Appreciate that. We are Hitch School. I'm Debbie Reese, the principal of Hitch. Hitch is also a Tier 1 school, and we're really proud of that. We want to stay there, and our goal is to be level 1 school full of career and college-ready students. And our biggest problem right now is the overcrowding. We also have 35 and 36 kids in some of our classrooms. We are overcrowded. We've been trying to get some relief from that for 2 or 3 years now. And our issues are kind of, I don't want to echo what everybody else said, but I kind of have to. We have a lunchroom, so we're very lucky in that. We've been told to close our lunchroom. I feel that that would be unfair to our students. A right to a separate place to eat lunch seems to me minimal of what our kids can expect. We've been told to close our library, which we also have and love. We feel this is not only a right, but a necessity for our students. We feel also that until the prisons do not have to offer a lunchroom or a library, which by the way are state-of-the-art libraries, that the minimum we can offer our students growing up in the state of Illinois are lunchrooms and libraries. Our lunchroom right now, we also have started to call the the caffeinasium, because in the afternoon we have 2 extra gym classes in there on inclement weather days. This was one of the initiatives of our full school, of our longer school. Sorry, I'm pointing on that. Our full school day was to have a second gym teacher, which we're thrilled with, but we also only have 1 gymnasium. So we use that in the morning. In the mornings we have enrichment classes, also a full school day initiative. We're glad to have it. Unfortunately, it's very difficult because of the loud equipment that's running in there, but we really only use our lunchroom 2 hours a day to serve lunches. So we feel we are using that space. We've closed 2 bathroom areas at Hitch School. One that was the men's bathroom, and we do have male teachers. They're now using the bathroom behind the gym, which was like the coach's bathroom. And they've been really, really, really good about it, but we did have to close that. It's a resource room. It was repurposed. Lost a bathroom. We lost the kindergarten bathrooms, and we had to put up a wall so that we cut off 1/3 of our kindergarten. And it was a resource room. Now it's another half of a kindergarten because that's grown so much. We have used a storage room, which it's a nice storage room. It has windows, and it is not a bad space, but it's a very small space. Another resource rooms. We've put up 4 of those gray cubicles that you see in many office buildings, which are small areas to pull out groups during the day. Somebody said it very well when they talked about second-class citizens. That is not our attitude, but it's what we're forced to because of the lack of response from Chicago Public Schools to our overcrowding problem. It's a shame. If you walk through our halls and you saw the kids who are, the best kids, we think we have the best kids in the world, our teachers who are so wonderful, and, okay, I got the phone in the morning. So we've shut a couple bathrooms. We have an old shower room from 1925. The label still says girls' showers. That's where we put desks for teachers who could no longer have desks in a classroom. Our music teacher is in the auditorium. Every single time we bring the kids in, for any reason at all, the music teacher has to put everything she was going to do that day on a cart and go from room to room. Art is on a cart, or she calls it art a la carte. We do our best. Our media teacher is doing a great job. All our teachers are doing a great job, but under conditions that shouldn't be there. And our students as well. Tier 1, yes. Working well, yes. Our students are great. Our parents are supportive. But we are overcrowded. We should not be working in these conditions. I'm going to stop because I have more, but I'm going to stop because I want Michelle Trito, who's on our LSC. wants to say a few words also.
Thank you. I have a question for you. Walk into a bar, and by law, it is posted that there is a maximum of people that can go into that bar. Why not the classroom? The city says, and it states, there is an ordinance for the maximum amount of people that can enter this room. But schools, no. What's happening to our children? What's happening to their education? What's happening to our children with special needs? What's going to happen to all of us when these children are sitting in your places and they don't have the proper education to help you?
Thank you.
Roosevelt High School, and after Roosevelt, Jefferson.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I wanted to speak a little bit more generally, since my specific school is not either overcrowded or under threat of closure this year, about the school closure situation. But specifically, before I begin, those of you that are concerned about high school options up here on the northwest side, I urge you to consider Roosevelt. I know Roosevelt doesn't always have the best reputation. Our scores don't reflect what we do. We're a very excellent school. We have great students who are extremely diverse, and they're English language learners, but they all get along. It's extremely safe, and our teachers work very hard and we do a very good job. So my name is Tim Megan. I'm a National Board Certified Teacher. I teach Advanced Placement in Human Geography, Geographic Information Systems, and World Studies. In addition, I read essays for the Advanced Placement exam for the College Board, and I mentor candidates for National Board Certification. So we believe the drive to right-size the district and drive to privatize the public schools through the proliferation of charters are one and the same. We know that the district's enrollment has decreased roughly 30,000 students from 2000 to 2010, while enrollment in charters has gone up 50,000 in the same time period, and that most underutilized schools are located very close to recently opened charter schools, which have drawn off students from neighborhood public schools. Which is this map right here, okay, which I will turn in all of this documentation to you guys. Furthermore, we recognize the deceptive practice of CPS when it repeatedly and erroneously suggests that the city has lost 145,000 students, leaving CPS an excess capacity of 100,000 student seats. We know that the formula used by CPS to calculate underutilization is deeply flawed. During a meeting with 7 parents and community representatives on November 13th, CEO Bert Bennett acknowledged the utilization formula has problems. This was before an independent analysis from Raise Your Hand, the parent group, found that CPS formula greatly exaggerates the number of under-enrolled schools and underreports the number of overcrowded schools. When that analysis was presented to CPS in December, Commission Chairman Frank Clark said he didn't dispute the data and called the analysis excellent. We agree with CEO Bert Bennett when she says the district lacks credibility and there's a trust gap. But we maintain that CPS continues to actively ignore and disrespect parent-teacher input while continuing its deceptive practices. We know the vast majority of underutilized schools, as well as the vast majority of charter schools, are located on the south and west sides in neighborhoods of color, which is indicated by this one. We know that charter schools do not outperform traditional public schools, and we know research has shown they perform worse than neighborhood schools in certain street populations. On average, Charter school students can expect to see their academic growth be somewhat lower than the traditional public school peers, though the absolute differences are small. Other subgroups, including Black and Hispanic students as a whole, have learning gains that are significantly smaller than those of their traditional public schools. That's from Stanford University. We know there are significant profits to be made in creating charter schools. The New Markets Tax Credit allows bankers and hedge fund operators to earn 39% tax credit over 7 years, plus interest on the loans they make, doubling their money while using taxpayer funds as collateral.
Talk to Uno Charter Schools about that.
We know that while undocumented immigrants struggle to realize the American dream in our public schools, wealthy foreigner investors can simply buy visas to the United States by investing $500,000 or more in charter school corporations. This is reported by Reuters. We know that most members of the board are either current investors in charter operations or are former bankers and charter operators themselves. We know that through the use of educational management organizations, or EMOs, a charter operator is entitled to skim 15% of a school's public funding for administrative costs, then create a subcontractor that can skim an additional 15%, thereby subverting as much as 30% of a school's public funds from the students it is supposed to serve. With charter holders and EMOs create subsidiaries in order to shuffle real estate around among themselves. With each reshuffling, the value of the real estate increases and the profitability of the parent corporation and its subsidiaries increases as well. Uno is very good at this. We know that charter schools aggressively fine students for minor misconduct, as in Noble Street. They make recovery credit prohibitively expensive, and they even deny credits earned unless poor performing students voluntarily transfer, in which case said earned credits will be restored, as in the letter I have here from Ronner College Prep. All in the name of pricing out poor students who are more likely to score lower on standardized tests. We know charter schools have appalling rates of faculty turnover due to low wages and inferior working conditions as compared to public schools with median wage. While 67% of CPS first-year elementary teachers return to their school, only 54% of all teachers return to their UNO campuses. A similar retention gap exists in high schools, with 75% of first-year CPS. Matt, I'm going to show 30 seconds. I'm almost done.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd just like to close by saying we know that neighborhood school closures will destabilize the lives of students, causing their learning to fall behind as much as 6 months. So severing the bonds they have with adults in their lives whom they trust, leading to potential alienation, resulting in other negative social and educational consequences. And that given that violence in Chicago and in schools nationally, like Sandy Hook, and that stability is required to prevent violence, this is unacceptable. Experts agree that the number one thing that prevents student violence is a connection with an adult that they know.
Dirksen Elementary School, after Dirksen Cannon.
Morning, everybody.
Hi, Dan.
I expect to have the same standing ovation when Dirksen is done. Good, I promise. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to thank the members of the panel. I'd like to thank our 3 aldermen who have there and really acknowledge that Mary O'Connor, from her first couple of weeks in office, has been a very good advocate for all of our students that she has rewarded. And made a personal visit in the first few weeks of return to Dirksen School. And Mary, we really appreciate all the help you've given us. And the other 2 aldermen, I'm sure you're giving the same support. So Let's give it up for them. Let's give it up for our member chief and the deputy, because they've done a great job keeping our issues on the table. I'm a living testament to many of the statements that my colleagues as principals have made in this room, because before becoming an administrator, I was a reading coach in the district, former Area 1, which now encompasses the majority of O'Hare schools. And I personally have put my feet into those schools, and I have personally seen that there is no exaggeration of what my colleagues have presented you today. My name is Daniel Lucas. I'm the contract principal of the Dirksen Elementary School, and alongside me is Mr. Khalid Ahmed. And Mr. Ahmed has served the Dirksen School as a LSC chair and is currently serving as a parent representative for the LSC. In a few minutes, I'm going to ask Mr. Ahmed, who's going to outline some of our various facilities issues that the students, staff, and parents and community must face to overcome our facilities challenges on a daily basis. Rita, if you want to loan me your basement, Dirksen doesn't have a basement, and we certainly can use the space. My AP is deployed into a former janitor's closet with a slop sink, simply because I have to have an administrative presence in my middle school hallway. A brief background about the facilities at the Dirksen School. Dirksen was constructed in 1970, but in 1971 an addition was added because when they built the school became overcrowded. However, this addition was designed to be what they called a demountable building, and I don't know if, for those of you who don't know, with a demountable building, it was meant to be taken down after several years and replaced with a more permanent structure. The walls of the addition are created of prefabricated steel with conduit, everything in there. And again, it's meant to be temporary. It's about 25 to 30 years past its useful life. Due to the age of this addition, the doors of many of the classrooms sometimes do not close properly, and the engineer has to be called to pry the door open and get the students out during the change of classes. Yes, somebody just mentioned the F word, it means fire. Very good. They don't close properly. The walls are so thin on these additions that they don't have a sufficient sound barrier, and it makes it very difficult to keep the sound, to keep our educational environment sufficient for instruction. And those of you who know me in this room, I'm not an advocate for silent instruction. I do believe kids need to turn and talk. There needs to be healthy discussion, but you can't even have a normal discussion in our classroom without it interfering with what's going on in the room next door and also on the other side of it. The structure is many years past students' useful life, and it truly is in need of replacement. In addition to this, the longer school day has exacerbated the problem that Dirksen has no place for the students to play. There is no place for the students to play. The old playground was replaced about 20 years ago, and in its place went in there 4 mobiles. Even with that, the space is not sufficient. The nearest park for the Dirksen students, and Mary's heard me repeat it many times every time I see her, Mary, remember that the nearest brick and mortar park to Dirksen School is 2.5 miles away. Kids have to go 2.5 miles away. They have nowhere to go. Many times I have a couple of former graduates who are freshmen at Taft High School that played on my basketball team. They come to me at the door when I'm working in my office at 5:30 at night. They have a basketball under their arm and they say, "Mr. Lucas, can we please use the gym because we have nowhere to play?" And I spend a half hour with them and I let them play basketball in there because that's the only spot that they have to go. Those are just a few things that we have. Our playground is part of the parking lot. What I would like to do, panel, is at least take that playground and change it from a sea of glass to a field of grass, so our kids can play soccer, they can play baseball, they can do what they need to do on their free time and not get into trouble on the outside during their free time. I'm now going to ask Mr. Ahmed to speak to some of our consequences, and I've only named a few, but they also match up to what everybody else has said. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ahmed, my LSC rep.
Dan, can Mr. Ahmed wait till later? Because
Yes.
you used up all the 6
I'm
minutes.
sorry.
Right. So hopefully
Okay.
we'll have time at the end and,
Yeah.
Okay, we only have 1 more minute. You yielded a minute to the other guy.
okay, so 1 minute.
1 minute.
We'll keep a tight 1 minute for Mr. Ahmed, okay?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Good morning. I'm just getting started. The building was originally constructed to service 500 students. Presently, we have 800 plus. This year, we have added 2 additional homerooms in the intermediate and middle school. Our pre-K and kindergarten classes are divided into shifts to accommodate for space. The lunchroom is small and some classrooms must now eat in the hallway. Our art room is now allocated as a general education classroom. 3 of the 6 prep teachers must move the class from class to class on a cart, making smooth transition difficult and no allowance for homeroom teachers to prepare lessons in their room. The PE program must be shut down to allow for recess and lunch. The 2-hour lunch and recess schedule requires the movement of 740 students in a 2-hour period, often causing high traffic while passing in the hallways. There are no open play areas to allow for recess and PE classes. The parking lot has been partially converted to allow for recess space. There's only one available space for indoor recess.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Ahmed.
Hammond is next, and after Hammond, Mary Lyon. Is Hammond here? No? We're going to do Portage Park next, and then we'll do Mary Lyon after Portage Park. Portage Park. Mary Lyon. And Mary Lyon's in the Fullerton network, just FYI. But my personal experience with them is that they're overcrowded, so this might be a very appropriate meeting for them to be at.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't walk fast.
If you just stay down here if you want.
Yes.
Whatever's easy.
Hi, my name is Anna Rivera. I'm a PAC advisory chairperson, and I also do the safety patrol. One of the biggest concerns, of course, is the overcrowding. Years ago, we heard that we have boundaries. What happened to those boundaries? What is CPS doing about it when we can't figure out how we can stop these children who are coming from outside our district? Okay, that's affecting our community very badly. We have 1,400 children plus, and it's very hard. They say because of a law saying to protect these children that we cannot deny children to go to a school, but there's got to be a stop. There's got to be some kind of control or some kind of organization that they can stop this. Second, I'm a baby boomer. Years ago when we were growing up, the lottery was supposed to be helping the funds of the city of Chicago and also for seniors. What happened? Over 25 years I haven't heard anything. So what are they doing with this money? We're having a lot more lottery than we ever did before in our lives. The other thing, living the problem is not the same as hearing about it. Okay, you sit here, you can listen to us, but when you live it on a daily basis, it's hurting. It's hurting a lot of us. And it's not fair for our future of our kids and our grandkids. So something has to be done. It's not just being heard, it's the actions. So you got your actions and your funds. Where are the funds? We're not hearing nothing.
Hi, my name is Dolores Santillán, and I'm also proudly served Maryland School as a volunteer, and I'm a crossing guard. Sometimes I have to help in their lunchroom. Sometimes I have to help in the hallways, which is overcrowded, so overcrowded that some kids fight. You know, the biggest concern in my school is about overcrowding. And we have so bright kids. And by the way, we have a huge and nice guy as a principal. Thank God we have Mr. Kabor. He's doing such a nice job. Sorry, my English is sometimes so bad. And let me tell you something. He has a huge heart. He's a sweet guy. I just have no words to describe him. But no resources. We are here because we want to be part of the solution. That's what we are here for. The reason we have to take recess, sometimes some of them take recess, sit for about 20 minutes in the auditorium, which is crowded. Sometimes they have to go to the gym room, which is about 120 kids at a time. And we have to take care of them, right?
Right.
Because we have no resources. I don't complain about it. I just want to know what, the safety of the kids. That's the only thing. Besides that, we have no playroom. We have no money to have a field done. Okay? And by the end, with the security out of the building, we have no any police officer by the end of the day. And sometimes we have trouble in that. Sometimes the crossing guard doesn't go, so I have to do crossing guard too. And I love to do it. But I need someone who can really help you. And afterwards, I think this is a shame. It's a real shame to be in the best country in the world living in this condition for my kids. I have 6 kids in my own. 3 of them went to college. All of them went to Maryland. That's why I'm starting Maryland, because I owe so much to that school. Thank you.
Thank you, we have an independent speaker from Citizen organization, Helen Ramirez.
I came as a citizen today, and I'm a retired nurse. I've lived on the Northwest Side for many, many decades. My child went to school here, and people like the Northwest Side because we do have good schools. And I've heard speaker after speaker talking about the overcrowding. I mean, my child had to put up with mobile units decades ago. My fear is that the city will try to solve some of this by building these charter schools. And I believe in public education. We need to build on what we know is good, what works. I want every child to get the education that's been promised. As a nurse, I've worked with children with special needs, and we know the charter schools don't meet their needs. And every child is entitled to whatever education they're capable of, and having their needs met in the process. So I ask you to find a way to expand what we have that's good and not build those charters.
So that concludes our people who signed in. We have time for anyone else who would like to come up and speak. So every speaker will have 2 minutes, and we'll go until we run out of time.
Want to bring them up? You want to bring them up? Bring them up.
Oh, they're not eating anything.
Hi everybody, my name is Christine Schaff and I'm a parent in Wildwood. I know you've heard from us already. And I'd like to build on that, and I'd also like to summarize a lot of the thoughts we've heard from all the schools here today. In addition to being a parent, I'm also the vice chair of our local school council. and I co-chair our CIWP, Continuous Improvement Work Plan. And two themes that we've really heard today are around safety and also the quality of education. We are so overcrowded, there's an absolute risk to children's safety at Wildwood, which I know exists for many schools here. The question that we have is, what needs to occur to show that safety is such a big concern? The numbers are there, the data is there, and God forbid an event has to occur to show that the true safety concerns are what they are. So we request immediate action plan from CPS to address safety concerns at Wildwood, as well as all the schools that are represented here today, and others that are not here. The other thing that we've heard is the vision for an increased level of education. Wildwood has this vision. We've been told by the network chief last year, as well as through coaching, teacher coaches, that our CIWP is exemplary. Our plan for a full extended school day is exemplary, but we spend valuable resources on more rudimentary needs like safety, and we are at risk of not achieving that vision. So we request an immediate action plan for space for next year, and we request an immediate action plan for the long-term solution. And we want to be your advocates so that the CPS vision of inspire, educate, and transform can be achieved. That's what we're doing at Wildwood despite obstacles. We have an opportunity to show a spotlight on urban education in the nation if we can all work together to achieve the visions that we have.
So we're going to have people who would like to speak to come stand up here on stage behind the speaker, and so then every speaker will get 2 minutes, and then we'll go back to that speaker.
Hi, I'm Drew Narragansett. I'm a very active here at Wildwood, and I'd just like to say thank you for being here and being mindful and respectful of our positions. And I just want to say that, open up to an analogy, in that we heard a lot over the past year about time and education and after the school day, about quality and quantity. It's also, that analogy also applies to instruction and to space. You cannot have quality education without the time to teach a kid. And the same thing, you cannot teach a kid if you don't have the space to teach them in. And we have a lot of talk about money and number of students and percentage overcrowding. At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that these are not just numbers, these are our children. And with our children, they build on everything. And something I've learned as far as building things, you can't have walls and a roof unless you have a strong base. Our children are our base. Our school is built upon our children, our community is built upon our school, and our future is built upon our community. If we are having problems inside our base of our children, then all of us, we all have a very shaky future.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Ralston. I'm a proud graduate of Roosevelt High School back in the year 1. And also, my granddaughter is currently a member of the Commerce Elementary School. It's a little bit out of the area, but basically, we're very strong advocates for public education. And I'd like to make a simple point. I want to thank Alderman Cullerton, Alderman O'Connor, Alderman Arena, and everyone from the City Council who's thinking in terms of making a very basic choice. We can either fund Chicago Public Schools well, or we can throw a lot of money toward charter schools, which is a mistake. It's money we've already spent. But we stick with a good situation, good system that includes everyone, that has diversity, that is listening and responding to what we need for our children. Will be the best situation for our kids. And I'd like to ask everyone on the panel and all the aldermen here and everyone who has any contact or response to any political connection in the city, please send our message to them. We want much better monies for public schools. Overcrowding, difficult in services, special needs, all these things revolve on money. And if we have the money for it, we'll solve all these problems. If we spend a lot of money on charter schools, these problems will not be solved. So it's a simple choice. Let's go for Chicago Public Schools. Let's give our political support and our political fervor for increasing the quality and the monies that go to Chicago Public Schools. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name's Andrew Thomas-Shell. My two kids spent 12 years at a great Chicago public school, Gray Elementary. And for the last 15 years, I've been involved with youth work in the city and have partnered with many schools. In 2006, I got an opportunity to participate in a new strategic planning initiative by a Chicago public high school that was struggling and decided to take matters into its own hand as the LSC. They created a strategic planning process that resulted in a 5-year strategic plan, something that, interestingly, I don't believe Chicago Public Schools has a strategic plan. There's a facilities plan that's getting approved, but there is no strategic plan. So in any event, in the strategic planning process, all stakeholders, residents, parents, students, teachers, the administration, and other community stakeholders were all invited to participate in dialogue. We had about 1,800 surveys filled out. We had focus groups. Through that process, we created a plan for the school. Between 2010 and 2012, this school's rate of freshmen going on track has increased 25%. The dropout rate has decreased 25%. Attendance is up 10%. Test scores are up. My point is that there's a lot of wisdom in this room. And schools are complex organisms that deserve to have all of our voices heard. And if we make a commitment to all of our school communities to have everybody get involved and invested and have a voice, then we can change things. And I ask CPS to please do that before it makes plans like closing schools.
My name is Rafael Contreras. I'm actually a CPS student. I went to Curie High School. I graduated in 1995. Then I continued on. And now I'm currently an administrator at a CPS school. I worked at CPS for 15 years at Mormon High School. And I'm now probably the AP over at Murphy Elementary. And I really want us to also remember students like us, people like us who went to CPS and had such a wonderful experience at CPS. And sometimes I worry about the children, the kids that are coming through CPS that might not have such a positive experience because of the problems that we're talking about. We talk about investment in facilities. I would like to see investment in human capital. We're talking about our children. If we lose focus as far as the kids are concerned, kids like me, students like myself who come from a very low income and who made a stride to go to school every day, no matter how crowded or how dangerous or how complicated it was, to take buses and go miles and miles and miles to the nearest high school and elementary school. I think we're losing sight of some of those things, and it's an issue for me, not just as an administrator, not just as a teacher, but as a person, to see so many children affected because of some of the things that I know. I know that some of us would like to do better, but I think that we really would like to have more of an opportunity to involve ourselves, our parents. I would like to see another forum, if we can, similar to this. I would like to see, we're in an age of technology, I'd like to see something perhaps online where parents could really contribute. A lot of parents who don't speak English, that sometimes they're not presented with equal opportunity to do so. Hablo español, pero es difícil. So sometimes it's very difficult. So I'd like to, again, thank everyone for your time. And again, just remember the students like myself who went to CPS and would love to have the same opportunity.
Gracias. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Danny Vanover. I'm from Taft High School. I did sign up to speak. I was wondering maybe I filled out the form wrong or something. Anyway, when I came to Taft in 1993, we had about 1,400 students. Today we have 3,100. We're expecting a couple hundred more next year. So we're second largest school in the city right now, I think. We have no room for them, just like the rest of you have been bringing up these needs about being overcrowded on this side of the city. It hurts everything, not just that are we having classes in rooms that weren't classes before, but it also stretches even athletic facilities. You know, it's a great thing that kids are involved in sports and after-school activities, but they're practicing in places that are actually dangerous hallways. Cheerleaders and stuff practicing in hallways where, God forbid, someone should slip and fall on that floor. We're using facilities in ways that just they're not meant to be used. I'm worried about CPS's response because even though it seems like we're pitting different sides of the city here, we're still one city, one school system, and CPS management seems to be focused in on closing schools to help save money, but it's such a small part of the budget, and even if they were to close all the schools they're talking about, I'm not advocating for that, but even if they were to close all the schools they're talking about, it doesn't seem like they'd save enough money just for the needs that we have heard in this room today, just for our side of the city. The problem is much bigger than that. It seems like they should be devoting some more attention to how they're going to do this in a bigger scale. They can't do it just by closing schools and opening new charters. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Patrick Reed. I'm the LSC Vice Chair of Building, also a building parent. I've got 2 boys in a class of 37 at Building. You know, while a high school would be a nice luxury for our area, we have a necessity to provide these small kids with more elementary in our area. So in life, our decisions are either to be part of the solution or part of the problem, and I'm here to ask CPS to please be part of the solution. Thank you.
My name is Jim Sephora. I'm an LSC parent member at Smizer Elementary. Smizer is just like the other schools. We are an overcrowding percentage. I think it was either 28 or 30%. Last year we did address an issue where we got another building rented, but it seems too many times CPS, as with everybody else, it's a short-term Band-Aid. We're not looking at long-term. You're not looking at, building new schools that are the size that we need. Putting our school 2 miles away from where the main school is not an answer. Putting mobile units in a parking lot is not an answer. We need to get the money, the funding. If the CPS doesn't have it, we need to get it from a higher level of government. Last year you pushed this longer school day, and all it did in a lot of cases was make overcrowding worse. Now we have kids who have an extra recess or longer recess time, they sit in a study hall because there's no recess place for them to go. We have one gymnasium that has classes in all day. Kids are sitting in hallways, they're sitting in lunchrooms. This is not helping us. Longer school day is not an answer to education. Better schools, smaller classrooms, and more money, and the community of people that are there is the answer to that. And the last thing we had, it was asked what makes these schools work. It's hardworking principals, it's the hardworking parents. It's not charter schools where we have no community involvement. You have to stay. Our schools are part of our community. They are there as a beacon for our kids to grow up and to thrive. It's not to be a business and for somebody else to make money off it.
My name is Barbara Bearden. I'm a parent of a student at Palmer Elementary, and we also have a lot of overcrowding. What we're finding too is that when children have recess, there aren't enough people to watch them. If the children go outside, you need fewer people, but if they have indoor recess when it's cold, and Chicago is cold, you need more people because you have to have the children in the classroom. You can't have 2 classes in 1 classroom. we're finding with the longer school day as well, that you need more staff. And it seems like Chicago Public Schools didn't plan for that at all. We need more teachers. A few years ago, we had a lot of our classes, a grade would have had 4 classes, and then the next year the grade ended up with 3 classes. So where we would normally have had 4 classes, now we only have 3 classes because we don't have enough we don't get the teachers anymore. You're asking schools to, we're all told preschool and kindergarten, full-day kindergarten, and is good for young students. It helps them to prepare them for first grade. If we want to have preschools and kindergarten in our schools, well, that's something that our schools were not really built to contain. So we don't have enough people. We simply don't have enough teachers, and we don't have enough staff, and that's what I think CPS has simply not planned for, and you need to add more people.
Thanks again for having me. There's a few things that I want to continue to add. I want to echo the library question that Debbie brought up. I too have a library that's chopped into thirds, and the library, I don't know what my acronym for it is, Debbie, but you've got my creative juices going. The library is chopped in thirds. It houses speech, it houses library, we do speech, we do special education, we do bilingual, and we do any other kind of special event that has to happen there. And within my saying that, I need to remind this panel that a lot of these things are lawsuits waiting to happen. We, as principals, face audits and have to face guidelines by the feds. And the feds come in and say you have to have adequate facilities for all of these special populations, to which we are not compromising on, and we have to explain that. That goes into our evaluations, things like that. But most importantly, it puts the district at risk for legal consequences to truly happen. I don't know if we're past the consent decree, but a lot of these things have come up as a result of the consent decree. So we have to be cautious. The last cautionary tale that I want to say is I contacted my predecessor to ask him the history on overcrowding 3 years ago when I took over, and I was told, Dan, be careful because they're going to ask you to give up your lunchroom. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not giving up my lunchroom. I'm not doing it. I've given up too much. I can't do it. Besides, where am I going to feed the kids on the roof? Don't ask us to give up our facilities anymore. We are stretched to the limit. We cannot take one more bending of the rules or anything else to accommodate what's going on. And I'm hoping that after all the consolidation is done and everything else, that there will be a plan to reallocate that money for where it's truly needed.
So that concludes our open comment portion. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and advocating for your schools, for your area. We understand that it can be frustrating. We don't have a lot of answers for you right now. We are listening to what you're saying.
When are we going to get the answer?
Continue to talk to us, maintain open lines of communication with the network, and we'll make sure that we'll follow up with that. And if you would like, I'll follow up with you personally after. We're hearing you. I've talked to Mary Beth for a long time, for the last year or so, with Wildwood's concerns that have been out in Belding. We want to make ourselves available to come out to your schools and talk to you as much as we can. So we are listening. We understand that, right now the district is focused on school closings and school actions, which is not the situation that's going on in O'Hare. So I know that can be tough, but we want to thank everyone for coming out. Please continue to be an advocate. We will continue to reach out and have conversations with you. The idea of having community dialogue to understand what buildings need to be put in different areas, how space can be used more creatively, making sure that we've got plans for annexes that we do know that we need to build, or new school buildings that need to be built, and to try and do that kind of planning up front to make sure that the plans are shovel ready. I think these are suggestions that can be done. thank you, everybody, and thanks for coming out. I understand that it's time on Saturday, and we appreciate your time and your voices. Thank you.